Hi, this is Mike Garner from MrMikeGarner.com. Come with me on a journey. This is a short presentation. It's a long journey, but it's a short presentation. And it's quite a serious subject. And it's one of blood. So if you're squeamish, I'm not going to scare you. But I think you'll be interested in my comments because it was inspired by the fact that I cut myself this morning slicing into my breakfast croissant, which is one of my rituals. I actually unfortunately sliced into my thumb. And did it bleed? Yes, it did. Ran for the toilet paper, wrapped it round, and it bled, and I washed it and it bled. And eventually, about an hour later, it sealed itself up. And it got me thinking, because what is blood? I talk a lot about energy, and air is energy. That air and is the life, gives us a life force that we breathe in life. That in the absence of breath, we don't live. And we know that, we can do without food for 3 months. We can do without water for 3 days. And we can do without breath air for 3 minutes. But when people die, you either breathe because there's no air going in or because there's blood coming out. If you get shot, you damage organs and you bleed inside. That's why you die. So the body, as we perceive it, keeps the blood within. And the blood carries oxygen around the body. It picks up oxygen in the lungs from the breath. And then it circulates it around all the organs and feeds nutrients around the body. The blood also has the plasma, the white blood cells, the antibodies, and the red blood corpuscles, full of rich nutrients. So if we starve ourselves of air, we die, and if we leak our blood out, we die. The blood has always been recognised in all medical procedures, right the way back to when they used to leech people. They used to literally stick leeches, which are blood-sucking snails, if you like. They used to believe that you could cleanse the body by getting out the poisons in the blood. It's a good guess. A lot of evidence that purification of blood and the viscosity and the nutrient-rich content and oxygenated, saturated content of your blood promotes health. It's true. That's why people who have got thin blood, as they say, are anemic. You can be jaundiced with poisoned blood and you go yellow. Anemic, you go white. Jaundice, you go yellow. If you've got high blood pressure, you go red. If you drink too much alcohol, you get a whiskey nose and you go red. Blood comes to the surface. You get broken veins. But the vascular system is very, very important. Apart from leaching, we tend to inject into veins, which is why this particular chat is very current at the moment. I want you to read between the lines. I don't want to get deplatformed, but I think you'll know what I'm going to be saying, talking about. So if it's not for you, then I wish you well. Now's the time to switch off. But at the moment, and right the way through all hospital procedures right the way back to Florence Nightingale and before. Even the witches of the Middle Ages used to give people homeopathic, naturopathic, herbal plant medicines to purify the blood. Now we can do scientific analysis of blood in laboratories, and we're supposed to believe, bit of sarcasm in that comment, we're supposed to believe that the companies that have took over from those naturopaths, and I won't use the word, but the industry that's took over, have got our best interests at heart, we're supposed to believe, and that they're giving us things that we swallow, things that we ingest, things that they inject, things that they insert, full of supposedly helpful, positive, powerful remedies, tinctures and potions and tablets and pills. And other things that have to be put into us, introduced to us through a needle into our vascular system to assist us gain better health. But the body has its own mechanisms, it always has. And I do believe that when those mechanisms don't work, we have to have interventions. Sometimes we have to have first aid, and other times we have to have surgery. But a lot of the stuff that we introduce into our body, which contaminates our blood and our organs and our cells in our bodies, slows the natural process down. It overwhelms the body, and the body breaks down. And then we're forced to seek help from a healthcare practitioner. There's a lot of things that we can do, like exercise gently, stretching, walking, swimming, skiing, cycling, which are the top 5. And they're safe and gentle and not too extreme. Don't injure your joints later on in your life. And then there's good diet, and there's good sleep hygiene, good sleep patterns, positive thoughts, positive attitude, getting out into sunlight. All these things contribute to well-being and stimulation of the body's natural systems. And then there's other things that suppress the natural body's natural systems, like alcohol and synthetic drugs. And a lot of these synthetic drugs we take voluntarily because they've been given to us by healthcare practitioners and never reviewed. Never reviewed. If you are on a repeat prescription, or if you've been taking something for years, I suggest it's very possible that what you're experiencing is not the original condition, but the side effects. Because it changes your blood, changes your body, changes the molecular structure, your biology, which affects your psychology. And all religions have talked about blood, right back to the Mayans and the Aztecs, maybe even before that. But in recorded history, they used to sacrifice to the gods blood bloodletting ceremonies. This is where this conversation gets a bit weird now. Keep with me. Rituals, what they called sacrifices, or what modern religions, although a lot of these modern religions, the scribes wrote the rules 2,000 years ago, and the repeated rules from 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 years ago. If you really do your history, our modern Bible and the Torah and the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, are all repeated philosophies, theologies, really, rewritten, pagan, Druidian, Anglo-Judaism, Catholicism, the Baha'is, the Krishnas, the Islamic faith, the Muslims, pretty much are all reconstituted, updated, ancient teachings out of Egypt and Africa and Asia, Australia. First oldest religion was called Huna. It came from Hawaii, and they used to worship a grasshopper, and you wonder why the Chinese from the old Kung Fu program in the 1970s, thank you grasshopper. And Jiminy Cricket was a grasshopper by Walt Disney with Pinocchio. Walt Disney was a member of the Illuminati, the Enlightened Ones, part of what was called the Invisible College. So there's nothing new, and a lot of this knowledge is hidden, which is why it's called occult, hidden knowledge. It's good stuff, but occult is being demonized into being bad because they don't want you to know this stuff. So they've labelled this as being bad. It's not bad, it's good to know stuff. Knowledge is power. With knowledge, you've got choices. So there's all these bloodletting ceremonies, and there's all these rituals and beliefs from ancient times, and they used to sacrifice to the gods. And really speaking, most of the information in these ancient books teaching these rituals and these rites of passage and this knowledge was given to us by the gods. I mean, it amazes me that the church, I went to Church of England, but whether it's Church of England, Church of Wales, the Catholic Church that came out of Rome, or wherever you go, that they tend to discourage extraterrestrial contact or psychic contact with spirits, and yet what's an angel? The whole Easter story in the Christian tradition is about Jesus rose 3 days after being dead and buried, and he was seen as a ghost, and he gave a message to Mary in the Garden of Gethsemane, and yet now we're told we shouldn't listen to messages. Saul turned into Paul on the road to Damascus. That famous household bleach. That's an old joke. That's Domestos. But he turned back because he was met on the road by a spirit. All the prophecies in the Bible, in the Old Testament, were all given to prophets from Spirit. And the Trinity includes the Holy Spirit. And yet we're told, don't use a Ouija board, don't use tarot cards, don't meditate, don't learn this occult stuff. Why? It's because they want to control the narrative. And the narrative was a lot to do with sacrifice, which they made more civilized and acceptable by calling them sacraments, offerings. Now, it's a deep subject, and if you want to know more about it, maybe you want to join my MBS group or have a chat with me. when I teach this stuff. But I do believe in spirits, but I don't call them, they're not spirits as it depicts in the Bible. They are other dimensional beings, and they're around us all the time. And you can make contact with them. This is where you think I'm losing the plot now, isn't it? Trust me, in hypnosis, I've got plenty of evidence that people in altered states, in trance, can access other dimensions, other timelines, other locations. And these are people that don't come to me for that. It's just that in the trance state, quite often, particularly with some of the spiritual practices that we explore, these things happen involuntarily. Quite safe, quite beautiful, nothing scary, very revealing, very exciting, very empowering, very beautiful. Completely changes your opinion, and changed mine when I started to have these experiences 30 years ago. Oh, before that, probably had my first experience of a other dimensional being in St Margaret's Youth Club in the old church hall when I was about, I don't know, maybe 15. So that's a while ago. It's nearly 49 years ago. And I've been on a quest to explore this stuff ever since. And you've got to follow the bloodline. You only have to watch the Da Vinci Code. And the bloodline goes right back to the ancients, to the gods, who weren't gods, they were other dimensional beings, and these spirits were messengers from these other dimensional beings. Which is why in Western culture and global culture there are certain bloodlines, dynasties they call them, that they protect, and they only marry within that bloodline because they don't want cross-contamination. And there's a story there which I won't go into, but look at the Da Vinci Code. That's one angle. Although it's fiction, it's pretty much based on fact, and that's the Jesus bloodline, what they call the Holy Grail. But there's other things going on with Masonic lineages and Illuminati lineages, and the elite families, the bankers, the cartels, the corporations, where there's this ancient knowledge of bloodlines and the quality of blood, and they organise globally, on the global stage, modern reenactments of bloodletting ceremonies, which are ancient rituals updated. War is one of them. No reason for war. Nobody wants war. Nobody thinks war is a good idea. And yet our governments perpetuate war. But it's not them that go, is it? They're in the War Office, playing chess with countries and people, battalions and regiments and armies, and they don't go to war. I mean, although the royal families wear all the medals, they're not on the front line. They become officers with basic training. They have footmen. They have butlers, waiters, special food, special protection, bodyguards. And yet we say, oh, weren't they wonderful? They went to war, our royal family. No, they didn't. They went to war wrapped in cotton wool and fed like kings and queens and brought back safely. Not like your sons and daughters. Don't believe all that bullshit. So you get these elites globally orchestrating wars, which for me is a updated version of a bloodletting ceremony, sacrificing to the gods, and that's another story, but trust me, that's what happens. And then because they don't want overpopulation, They control the masses with controlled diseases, social manipulation, economic manipulation, educational manipulation, financial manipulation, and more recently my belief system, and I'll use a word that might not get deleted, I hope it doesn't, but it's called inoculation, which is an injection into the blood, which I've not had and I won't have. And I'm not saying this to upset anybody, but because I believe that we are holographic in nature, you can't inoculate, you can't jab an illusion. But because most people think they are human, because people only see the physical world and they only experience the physical dimension, it does unfortunately have a physical effect. Where I believe in mind over matter, and most of my healing is mind healing. Heal the mind and the body follows. If you don't understand that, if you don't have that as a belief system, if you don't know how to work with that, then you will be a victim of what happens to your body. But miracles occur, remissions, when you use your mind over matter. You have a mind and you have a body, and you can use your mind to control your body. That's how I've managed to overcome most of my challenges physically. And if you follow my story, I won't go into it, but I've had many of them. Shouldn't be here really. So, but I still won't have the inoculation because I choose peace. And I know I could use my mind. If I had to have the Jaborooni, I'd use my mind to overcome the toxins and the side effects, which, trust me, aren't side effects, they're effects. But I don't need the grief. I don't want the challenge. I've got enough things to be getting on with. I've got a message, I've got a mission, I've got a life. I don't want to be hindered, hampered, limited by having to focus on detoxifying my body because I've had something put into it which is synthetic and genetic. And I know I could overcome it, and I know you can overcome it. But watching this, you possibly don't know how to. And I'm not trying to sell my service, but if you do want to know, if you regret your decision, or if you're concerned about your decision about the Jaborooni, then we do need a chat, because I'm here for that. But I believe that what's going on at the moment is divisive, it's biblical on epic proportions, and it's all about blood. And I believe that those that aren't having the Jaborooni going forward, despite the fact that they might eat crap food, have crap, negative thoughts, and that will toxify your blood. You're not having the Jaborooni, which is actually genetically synthetically designed to change mankind. I told you might not like this content, but it's what I believe. It's never been any different. If you know your history, and you know your Bible, or you know your Torah, or your Quran, or your Tao Te Ching, it's all there. It's all been written and it's all been done before. There's nothing new. It's just that it was said in the Mayan calendar, and they said it was 2012. 2012 with the 12, they might have got the numbers wrong way around, and it was 2021. I don't think so. It actually started in 2012. In fact, it started well before that, if you know the timeline from lockstep. which is the government paper, the global paper on this agenda, which is called Agenda 21. It was all foretold, it was all prophesied, and it was prophesied by prophets who were given this information by spirits, they say, but no, they were other dimensional beings warning us. We didn't heed the warning. We probably weren't even given access to the warning, other than people who can channel and psychics, who were all poo-pooed because we're told it's occult and wrong. So the people who haven't had the Jaborooni will go forward and will genetically be known as purebloods. Purebloods. I'm a pureblood, and I'm not proud to say that. I'm saddened that there's so many of the population aren't. But the good news in this is that it's all an illusion anyway. It's not real. It's just a story. And if you believe in the story, then you won't experience the glory. I'll say that again. If you believe in the story, you won't experience the glory. Because the glory is that all the stories, right back through centuries and millennia, history is story. The story is an illusion. You're perfect. You're perfect poor. You're perfect disabled. You're perfect whether or not, whatever your job you do, whatever status you've got, whatever your financial circumstances, your educational circumstances, your physical, mental, emotional circumstances, just a story. You're perfect. That story, that person that you are, able or disabled, rich or poor, male, female, whatever culture, creed, sex, sexual orientation, whatever you believe you are, is all an illusion. And the fact that you've had the Jaborooni, that's an illusion. It's just as if you've had it, you're going to have to be very strong-minded to get past it. But strong-minded people do get past physical limitations. There's lots of evidence of that. That's what Lourdes is all about, the miracles that take place in York Lourdes when people get out of the wheelchairs because of belief. With strong minds and strong beliefs and commitments, you can overcome any physical impediment, change any physical situation, overcome any emotional or mental limiting conditions, because it's all an illusion. And the contamination of your blood and the quality of your breath is fundamental to activating this holographic body, this biological computer. So if you've had the Jaborooni, detox, drink water, take your supplements, or better than that, eat health-giving, nutrient-rich foods. Which have an electric quality and will stimulate the energy matrix in your body, which projects the hologram which you think you are. And you can get past this. And if you don't know how to and you want some help, then I'm here to help. But if you think what I'm talking about is bullshit, and that you don't think that you're an energetic, magnetic being of light, sound and vibration, then just consider what is an MRI scan. An MRI scan, MRI means magnetic resonance image. That you are magnetic, you have a resonance, and you're a holographic image. And you're watching me on an LCD screen, which is LCD, liquid crystal display. And that's what your blood is. It's a liquid crystal substance that displays and manifests a particle from a wave, which is the quantum science that says that you basically are just a projection, a holograph. You're a vibration, and you can shift that vibration with so many ways and change your health, become more happy, become more vital, become more powerful, more alive, more alert, lighter, brighter. That's what enlightening is. When you're enlightened, it's not just a spiritual term, it means you feel light and bright. And to the degree that you feel light and bright, you're vital, everything works. Your elimination system works, your digestive system works, your immune system works, your metabolism system works. You don't need anything other than maybe what we were told a long time ago that was suppressed, that we need healthy food. We need to live a homeopathic, holistic life. We don't need these inoculations. We don't want fast food. We don't want processed food. We don't want to become contaminated, polluted, dumbed down. We want to be pure blood. Pure in mind and heart, peaceful, positive, cleansed and healed. And we don't want to be sacrificed to the gods. So if anything I've said has interested you on this journey, you know where I am. I'm here to help. And if you've had the Jaborooni, it's not the end of the world, or the end of your world, unless you allow your body to go into chaos with the synthetic introduction of something that's not natural to have in you. Detoxify yourself and shift your thinking. And you can. And if you're strong-minded, vital and healthy, without any underlying health conditions, then you'll probably be absolutely fine, because the amount of people who are getting negative effects is 0.00. You know the stats, I'm not going to go into that. But trust me, the more you have, the harder it's going to be to detox, and the more you're loaded with contaminants and poisons and metals and lots of other ingredients if you do your research. And bearing in mind that the copyright for this state inoculation has numbers in it which are biblical, I'll just say that, and it's the upside down version of what you phone when you want the police in the UK. So it's not 999, it's the mirror image of that actually in the patent number. Trust me, I'm not making this stuff up. I hope you understand that there's more to what's going on than meets the eye. It's a spiritual war, it's an energetic war. We have a war in our hands, there's a battle afoot. It's a battle of biblical epic proportions, but light always wins over dark. Your mind can always win over your body, and in a world of duality, the gods or the ETs or the other dimensional beings that I've talked about are not malevolent, they are benevolent. It's just that in the same way that there's a mirror image of the number, there's a mirror image of good and bad, up and down, male and female. There's always duality. And like they said in Star Wars, I think it was who was it, Alec Guinness, he said, don't go to the dark side. Obi-Wan Kenobi, don't turn to the dark side. Don't turn to the dark side, turn to the light side. Use your mind to control your body, and trust for a positive, happy outcome, because you are powerful, you have a powerful mind, and if you use your powerful mind positively, everything will turn out fine. Be powerful, enjoy your mind. You know where I am if you need my help or you've got any questions. I offer this with love, so if you've got any comments, make it constructive, and have a wonderful day. Take care. Be powerful.